In the beginning, the galaxy misunderstood humanity in a very specific way. Most alien civilizations believed that intelligence always came with predictability. Advanced species followed patterns, logic, and structured behavior that could be studied, analyzed, and eventually countered. Humanity did not fit that pattern, but no one realized it at first because humans appeared cooperative, emotional, and surprisingly peaceful for a species that evolved on such a violent world. When humans joined the galactic network, they were welcomed as curious newcomers. They shared art, music, and stories, and they built relationships faster than most species expected. They were expressive and adaptable, always eager to communicate and learn. To the rest of the galaxy, humans seemed harmless and even slightly chaotic, but not dangerous. That assumption lasted until the Virex Dominion arrived. The Virex were a highly advanced species that communicated through synchronized neural signals, allowing their fleets to act as a single coordinated entity. Their ships moved with perfect precision, their strategies were flawless, and their battles were almost mathematical in execution. No one had ever defeated them because no one could outthink a mind that was essentially millions of units, acting as one. When the Virex began expanding into populated systems, the response from the galaxy was immediate but ineffective. Defense fleets tried to engage them using conventional tactics, but every move was anticipated and countered before it even happened. Entire armadas were dismantled with terrifying efficiency, and systems fell one after another without any sign of resistance slowing the Dominion down. As the Virex approached human-controlled space, many expected humanity to evacuate or request protection from stronger allies. Instead, something unusual happened. Human transmission stopped, and at first, it didn't seem important. Communication outages happened occasionally across the network, and no one thought much of it. But then hours turned into days, and days turned into weeks, and still there was nothing. No signals, no broadcasts, no diplomatic messages, not even civilian traffic. Human space became completely silent. The Virex interpreted this as a sign of collapse. Based on their calculations, a species that relied so heavily on communication could not function without it. They assumed humanity had either fled or fallen into disarray. Confident in their analysis, they advanced into human territory expecting minimal resistance. They were wrong. The moment the Virex fleet crossed into the first human system, their sensors began to fail. Navigation systems glitched, targeting arrays produced conflicting data, and communication between their ships became unstable for the first time in their recorded history. The perfect synchronization that defined the Dominion started to fracture under an invisible pressure they could not immediately identify. Then the attacks began. Human ships appeared without warning, striking isolated targets and disappearing before the Virex could respond. There were no predictable patterns, no consistent formations, and no recognizable strategy. Each engagement was different, forcing the Virex to constantly adapt to new variables they had never encountered before. Worse still, the humans were not communicating in any detectable way, no signals, no coordination channels, nothing. To the Virex, this was incomprehensible. Their entire system depended on shared awareness and constant connection. Yet the humans operated in complete silence, while still managing to coordinate complex maneuvers across multiple battle zones. It was as if each human pilot was acting independently while somehow contributing to a larger, invisible strategy. The Dominion attempted to adapt by isolating their ships further, reducing reliance on synchronization, but this only made them less effective. Without their collective intelligence, they became slower, less precise, and vulnerable to the unpredictable human tactics. Over time, the balance of the conflict began to shift. Human forces did not overpower the Virex in direct combat, but they disrupted them confused them and slowly dismantled their advantage. Key ships were destroyed, supply lines were interrupted, and command structures began to fail under constant pressure. Eventually, the Virex made a decision that no one in the galaxy had ever seen before. They retreated. When human transmissions finally returned to the galactic network, the rest of the galaxy demanded to know what had happened. How had a species considered disorganized and emotionally driven managed to defeat an enemy that relied on perfect coordination? The human response was simple. They explained that silence was not weakness. It was control. Humans had intentionally shut down their communications to prevent the Virex from studying their behavior, predicting their actions, or disrupting their coordination. They relied on decentralized thinking, individual decision-making, and something no other species had fully embraced: instinct. From that day forward, the galaxy began to understand a terrifying truth about humanity. You can prepare for strength. You can prepare for intelligence. But you cannot prepare for a species that chooses when to be understood. And sometimes, the most dangerous thing humans can do is say nothing.